So today I'm going to be solving number 4 for my math project. Sorry in advance for any background noise. So this first problem is 2 cosine cubed x plus cosine squared x minus 2 cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. And what we're trying to do in this problem is solve for x. Now, the first thing after writing the problem down, what we want to do is break it into more bite-sized pieces so it's easier to handle. So we're going to do 2 cosine cubed x plus cosine squared x plus negative 2 cosine x minus 1. And we would set that equal to 0, but just so it's easier to look at for now, we don't need to worry about that for the moment. And then we're going to try to find what we can pull out of the bite-sized pieces of equation, and what we can pull out is the cosine squared x of the first chunk and a negative 1 out of the second chunk. So you'd get cosine squared x is times 2 cosine x plus 1, and then it would be minus 1, and then the same 2 cosine x plus 1. As that loads in, there we go. And then now you can match up the orange parts, and then the white part, since it's the same, will remain the same. So you would have 2 cosine squared x minus 1 and 2 cosine x plus 1, and that is equal to 0. Now you would separate both parts of that equation so that you would have cosine squared x minus 1 is equal to 0, and then 2 cosine x plus 1 is equal to 0. But we're going to start with the first part. So to isolate the variable, you add 1 to both sides, and then you would rewrite it as cosine squared x equals 1. Then you're going to square root both sides to get rid of that squared, and that will give you cosine squared is equal to plus or minus 1. And then, so x is equal to 0, and x is equal to pi when we're looking at the unit circle, since cosine is always that first number of the number, or of the point equation, the thing. And then moving on to the second part, we have 2 cosine x plus 1 is equal to 0. And you're going to subtract 1 from both sides to isolate the variable, and rewrite that. So it's going to be cosine x is equal to negative 1/2. And then going back to the unit circle, all the negative cosine values are going to be on the left side of the unit circle. So that would mean that x is equal to 2 pi thirds. And if we go to the third quadrant, x is also equal to 4 pi thirds. I miswrote that there. I got it mixed up with sign. But it is, it's 4 pi thirds. And now that we know what our x values are, we need to make sure, because the 2 pi k portion that we would add to it. So we have our x values, and then we're going to go and we're going to rewrite them for our final answer. So if x is equal to 0 plus 2 pi k, and x is equal to pi plus 2 pi k, we can rewrite that so it's a little bit easier to look at, which would be x is equal to 0 plus pi k, since those same values are on both sides and they're exactly 1 pi radian away from each other. And then we'll go and rewrite the other two values, which we can't do, the same thing as we did to the first two to this one. So it would just be x equals 2 pi thirds plus 2 pi k, and x equals 4 pi thirds plus 2 pi k. And those are your answers on how to solve the equation for problem number 4. Thank you.